Para, yeah.
Para Shiva Samarambam.
Sada,
Sadhu
Samarama,
Sudhamanta
Shankaracharya Majamam.
Shankaracharya, Madhyama,
Arya
Asmaracharya Parantyam.
Maharaja Parantar
Parantyam. Vande Guru Parampara.
Vande Guru Parampara.
Okay, can everybody mute, please?
Sure.
Ian, are you okay for time? We're usually about 20 minutes late, but I don't want to speak too fast because then nobody else will understand what I'm saying. So,
Yeah, no problem. It's okay.
okay, so mute. Okay, good. Okay. What about the verse? Where's the verse? Verse 9, isn't it? Verse 9, Lagyu, Vakya, Vritti. Yeah, so verse 9 of Lagyu, Vakya, Vritti. Moment by moment, cognitions of the mind change, but not consciousness. Like the thread in string pearls, consciousness is present in all conditions. So this text so far resembles, sorry, I'm laughing as I'm waking up as I carry on here. So far, this text resembles Vakya, but it's going to head to a quite dramatic turn, probably by the end of this verse or the next verse. So because this resembles Vakya, if you remember, it on this so far is an unfoldment of Twam Pada, which is the meaning of you. Yeah, the meaning of you, the Twam Pada, the meaning of you in the Mahavakya Tat Twamasi. And this text has Vakya, the word Vakya, in its name, and that means Mahavakya. So this text has to reveal Tat and Twam, which is you and the whole, which is Jiva and Ishwara. I'll say very, very loosely, the person and this is the person and God. Jiva isn't exactly the person. It's a mind body sense complex plus Atma and Atma. So but we'll say loosely the person and God. And we're going to get to this step by step. This last class, we ended the last class by looking at consciousness through which you know everything, through which everything that you know right now assumes the form of every vritti, every thought. Just like water assumes the form of waves. We know this. Water assumes all of the changing and moving forms. Big waves, small waves, little waves, slow waves, fast waves. Water assumes all the forms of water. So like just like water, consciousness assumes the form of the sound Om. If I say Om, consciousness has assumed that form. And right now, consciousness assumes the form of everything that we see around us, as well as all the thoughts in the mind. That was the recap of verse 8. Now verse 9. When we talk about Vritti's thoughts being superimposed, thoughts being formed, superimposed on consciousness, are we talking about Pratibimbavada or Avacedavada? And we're talking about Avacedavada. To be honest, in Vedanta, generally, everybody begins with Pratibimbavada, theory of reflection, to explain the relationship between pure consciousness and experience, because it's easier for the person to understand them. They can relate to it easily. But Vedanta ends with Avacedavada. We've begun with Pratibimbavada, consciousness reflected in mind, consciousness illuminating objects in the mind. And we begin here because it's easier to relate experientially, but it's not the end. With Avacedavada, the inquiry becomes more profound, as we're going to see in these verses. But Vedanta ends with Avacedavada. Vedanta ends with this prakriya. It's how important it is. So if you can get this prakriya, you can apply in your own mind with all the other supporting teachings around it. Let's just get this Avacedavada. Okay. The mind's modifications acquire different forms. Experience changes. Experience always changes. Experiences are modifications of your intellect. And these modifications of the mind, they constantly assume forms, moment by moment. The condition of your mind changes moment by moment. Everybody knows this. This is obvious. Yeah. But consciousness doesn't change. And here we're going to use another one, maybe two metaphors. The surface of the ocean changes moment to moment, doesn't it? Yeah. Think of the surface of the water can be still or can be active. They can have ripples, can have waves. So it can change moment to moment. But does water change? Of course not. The surface of the ocean changes. The water change, the waves change, the ripples change, but water doesn't change. And that's one of the most apt metaphors in regard to consciousness and thoughts. It's the basis for Avacedavada. Forms are superimposed on consciousness. The forms change just like waves in water. The water doesn't change. We can see this, yes? Everybody understand this? That the waves, just because there seems to be movement with the waves, does not mean there's anything happening with water. Yes? Yep. And so here, Judy, can you get that? Yep. And so here we've separated waves and water in our mind. That's a separation. It's a separation we do with knowledge, not with experience or physically. Water remains water, even if there is a big wave or if there's a small wave, even if there's a fast wave or a slow wave, water is still water. Okay. So we're making a distinction between form and content. Form goes on changing, content doesn't change. Okay. As much as your mind changes in every moment, consciousness never changes. Okay. The mind is like the waves, okay. Now we go into another metaphor. It's a beautiful metaphor. This class isn't long, actually. Just like the string in a set of pearls is present in each pearl, consciousness is present in every thought form. And metaphors are really useful because complicated things can be explained in an image. If we notice in this metaphor, the string is identically present in every pearl. It doesn't matter if the pearls are not the same. They don't even have to be pearls. It could be any stone, any shape, any size. Likewise with our vrittis, our thoughts, they could all be different from each other. Crucially though, is one string identically present in every pearl. And in this way, it is one consciousness present in every vritti, every thought. One consciousness present in every experience. One consciousness present in every form. So if we understand that, we begin to understand that it's one consciousness present in every form, it becomes that yanam, even when we're looking at different forms, that yanam starts to stick. One consciousness, one consciousness, one consciousness. Sometimes we need to do it deliberately. Other times it'll just be there. It's one consciousness, even when we're looking at many forms. And why? And other times we'll forget. We just keep reminding ourselves, and it'll start to be spontaneous and automatic. And it takes time. So it is, especially if we get it. I used to get it an awful lot. Stomach to that at Menanda's one for getting it as well. And he even says in these classes, he gets it, and then a few years later, oh, I got it. And then a few years later, he got it. And he's been doing it 30 years. So he's been getting it for 30 years. So we're following in his footsteps. That's really good. We get it, then we don't get it. Okay. This metaphor, it's introduced here and used properly in the next verse, which we'll do Monday, probably. So guys, any questions? I'm just waking up by the coffee. It's been another 5 classes now. Any questions, people? No, nothing, no. I say I have to, like, sort of, I have an open plan kitchen. I have to clean my kitchen. I must have woke up in the middle of the night, half sleeping. There must have been 5 of me having a feast. All the food's all over the place. Crazy. I don't know. Okay, no questions then. Has everybody can understand Avacharabhara? Everybody can? Is there any questions at all about it, guys?
I get it right now, but in a few hours, I probably won't.
Yeah. Well then,
So,
talk for a moment. But
no, that's it for now. I'm good. Thank you.
The ocean is a good one because we look at the ocean and we see all the activity on the surface of the ocean, but we know it's just water. It's so easy to do that. Well, the mind's just the same. The ocean is the water, and the mind is the waves, or the external events, external objects, or the waves. Okay, that's it. That's it simply. Okay. Okay, guys. Well, good class, and see you next time then. Okay. All right. Bye bye. Bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.